everyone, my name is Nate Kastner. I'm a photographer and videographer based in Boulder, Colorado. I'm the man behind Mountain Technique. Many of you may already follow me on Instagram, but now I'm launching a YouTube channel where I'm going to share more awesome content from the professional athletes that I work with. Boulder, Colorado is one of the running meccas of the United States. A lot of people from all over the world come here to train because of the high elevation, the community and running culture that exists here. So over the years, I've gotten an amazing opportunity to work with many pro athletes, and I've picked up a lot of amazing tricks and tips along the way, and I'm going to share those here with you. For a little bit of background information about me, I'm definitely not a pro athlete, never have been, although I did train like one for about a year when I got into the Tough Mudder obstacle course races. One of my times qualified me for the world's toughest mudder event, which is a 24-hour event. Basically, whoever runs the furthest wins. And the first year of it, I saw that the winner did 40 miles in one. And I thought, if I really put my heart into it for a year, I think I could do it. I think I could do more than 40 miles. So I trained my butt off. I was running in the morning, biking to work, swimming after work for some extra cardio, doing a lot of weight training to stay strong. And I really put my heart and soul into it. Loved the process, loved growing stronger, loved seeing what I could accomplish. And at the race, I ended up doing 50 miles in 12 hours, which right now I'm really proud of that. I definitely think that that was an amazing accomplishment. The works of my hard effort really paid off. However, in the moment, and this was about 10 years ago, so I was 26, a little younger, less mature, I was really disappointed. I had my heart set on winning this thing, and that was what was my goal the entire time with training. And because I didn't win and I had to drop out in 12 hours, I felt like a failure. I really wish I had stuck with it, because after that race, I was kind of disheartened. I took a break from running and never really got back into training. And in hindsight, I wish I had stuck with it. I really would have liked to see what I could have done if I stayed consistent over the years, and who knows where I would be today. A couple months ago, I decided to sign up for a race. So I signed up for the Boulder, which is a 10K here in Colorado. I was missing training. I really enjoyed that process, so I wanted to get back into it and see what I could do. I'm working with these pro athletes all the time, watching them put in the work. I figured, hey, why not put in that effort into myself and see what I could do? While I was out there training, I often found myself thinking of the lessons that I've learned from them along the way. And so I thought that would make a really cool content piece to share some of the different mindsets and principles that they are thinking of when they're training, or just ways that they live their life by. So not surprisingly, a lot of these lessons in sport also apply to life in general. So I thought that was a really cool message to share. So without further ado, here are 10 lessons that I've learned from working with elite athletes.
Lesson number 1, set your priorities. This lesson, I'm going to give credit to Luis Orta. Luis was the first athlete I started working with in Boulder. He's one of the hardest working dudes I know. In addition to being an Olympian and a professional runner, he also runs a coaching company, My Olympic Coach, where he personally coaches over 100 athletes from around the world. In my 5 years of working with him, I know for a fact that he hasn't skipped a single workout. His top priority is his training, and he always makes sure he does that first thing every morning, rain or shine, sun or snow. Once he gets his workout in, he's immediately back in the office and working on his athletes' training plans, his priority number 2. In addition to reviewing and revising each athlete's training, he communicates directly with each and every one, answering any questions they have or providing guidance with their training. He's structured his life in a way where he keeps his priorities in check to stay on top of his goals and maintain what is most important. Now for myself with my training, I ultimately couldn't keep it as my top priority, and that's okay. My wife and I just had a baby 4 months ago. Our son had really bad colic for a solid couple of months, and none of us were getting any sleep. For a bit, I tried to get my training in every day, but soon realized that this was not going to be possible. I simply didn't have the energy to expend on training. I needed to make my family my top priority. So I dropped my expectations of a perfect training block and was simply grateful for the days I had the time or energy to get out and do any sort of workout. Without a specific training plan or regularity, I just tried to get in some miles, vary the kind of workouts I did, and simply enjoy the process. Professional athletes are inspirations to many of us out there, but we also have to realize that this is their full-time job and their top priority. I think a lot of people beat themselves up if they don't stay perfectly consistent with their training, and I strongly encourage people to be understanding and mindful of where their priorities are and keep your expectations in check. Unless your livelihood depends on it, which for most of us, it does not, Enjoy the training you can get in and make sure that your priorities are in alignment with your life. Lesson number 2, go hard or suffer. I had the privilege of meeting Olympian Paul Chelimo on one of my trips to Kenya with Luis. Luis joined him for a world-class 10K workout. Paul is known for his silky smooth stride, which makes it look like he's running effortlessly across the ground. But I can tell you firsthand, it's anything but effortless. He gives each and every workout 100% effort. His tagline and mantra is, go hard or suffer the rest of your life. And I think that that's a great mindset for training, racing, or life in general. In essence, it means, give it your all, or you're going to forever regret that you didn't. If you give something your full effort, you should not have regrets. You certainly aren't guaranteed the results you expect, but as long as you gave it all that you had, you'll grow. I'll be thinking of that during my race. When I signed up for it, I had it in my head that if I trained really hard, I believed I could get a sub 40 time, which is about a 6:30 mile pace. It's certainly a stretch for me, but if for those 40 minutes on race day, I can push myself as hard as I can, whether I make it or not, I'm going to be proud of myself for giving it my full effort. Especially for me, with this being my first race in like a decade, I'm not going to make the same mistake I did before by being fixed on a particular outcome. As long as I give it my all, I know that I will be proud. I think this mindset is equally important in daily life. Lesson number 3, run your own race. Nell Rojas is a super talented rising star in the long distance running world, finishing the Boston Marathon as the top American 2 years in a row. One comment she made in a video we shot together that has stuck with me is that you have to run your own race. Out on the course, Nell is competing with the best runners in the world, and each person has their own story, has had their own training build-up, maybe having a good day or maybe a bad day that day, and each has their own strategy for racing. Nell is great at racing, and it shows in her performance. And one thing that stands out to me is that she doesn't get drawn into anyone else's strategy. You have to go into a race with the plan that you've trained for and stick to it, or else you risk failing your goal. Of course, at the elite level, they are racing each other, aiming for the best finish possible. But for myself and 99.9% of runners, the competition is with yourself. You have to run your own race and not worry about what anyone else is doing. You have to stay true to yourself, and that lesson absolutely applies to the rest of your life. You can't waste your time trying to be anyone else. You just have to be the best version of you. Lesson number 4, find what works best for you. In a similar vein to running your own race, you have to find what works best for you. An athlete that exemplifies this to me is Marvin Blanco. I first met Marvin in Colombia on a training trip with Luis. Luis and Marvin grew up together in Venezuela, so they go way back. Marvin earned a silver medal at the South American Championships in the 3,000-meter steeplechase in 2011 and continues to train as a professional athlete. While Luis is an up-at-the-crack-of-dawn kind of athlete, he often makes jokes at Marvin's nonchalance when it comes to his timing of his training. Marvin would rather sleep in and train when he feels up for it. He and Luis couldn't be more different when it comes to punctuality. I could always sense Luis's growing anxiety in the morning as we waited for the group to be ready to head out to the workout. However, Marvin still gets it done. He still puts in the work, and the way he does it works for him. If you dread your alarm clock going off at 5 a.m. to do your workout first thing in the morning, it's going to wear you down over time, requiring you to expend more of your motivation just to get up out of bed. Maybe for you, sleeping in, training after work, or during a break in your day will make it that much more enjoyable and aid you in actually getting it done. For me, working out first thing in the day was just not going to happen with a newborn. Instead of writing off the day and skipping my workout, I had to be adaptable and fit my run in whenever my son went down for a nap. It wasn't always ideal, and it often left me training in the heat of the day, which then affected the sort of effort that I could put in. But hey, I really had no choice, so I just had to find what worked best for me and do what I could do. Lesson number 5. Time management is essential. The next time you want to use the excuse, I just don't have the time, I want you to think about Sara Vaughn. Sara is an accomplished pro athlete for Puma, a mother of 4, and a full-time realtor. I think any one of those accolades could be used as an excuse for not having enough time for everything, but somehow she makes it happen. She's told me she lives by time blocking, setting aside chunks of time throughout the day for each thing that she needs to get done, and then sticking to her plan. If you're busy and have a lot going on in your life, it is still possible to fit in what you want to do. However, it does require planning and dedication. I know for myself, if I planned to go on my runs at the end of the day after I got all my work done, it would be so easy to just skip it because I felt so tired or unmotivated. It was important for me to build a schedule where I had my morning routine with my family, my wife would then take care of my son, and I would go out for a workout. Then, once I got back, showered and fueled, I would sit down and get to work. This is what worked best for me, so you have to find out what works best for you. There were many times where I worked with Sara where she would go out on her warm-up, return home to send her kids off to school, then start the workout, finishing in time to get to a home showing. You have to run your schedule or your schedule will run you. The more you stick to your routine, the easier it will become. Lesson number 6, embrace the struggle. Barnabas Kipkoetch is an athlete I became good friends with in Kenya. He's a rising star and a 2:08 marathoner. If you've watched season 1 of our Marathon Training in Kenya series, Barnabas, also known as Rainbow, was the pacer who was always giving Luis a run for his money. At the end of every workout, when the other pacers were starting to drop back, Rainbow would accelerate and always finish hard, leaving everyone in the dust. There comes a point in every workout, every race, and in the difficult moments of life where you just want to quit. Things get hard, and we get that voice in our head that tells us to slow down, ease off, or give up. Rainbow became the master of that voice. When he hears that doubt creep in, he digs deep and pushes harder. In most difficult times, it's our minds that want to quit long before the body would. This is certainly a survival instinct, our body's attempt at self-preservation in the face of a great challenge. But we all have a deeper capacity to draw from than even we know. I know that during my 10K, there's going to be that point where every ounce of my body wants to slow down, but I'll be thinking of Rainbow as if he were there encouraging me to keep pushing. If you employ this thinking during each of your workouts, not only are you training your body to grow stronger, but you're also training your mind to overcome that self-defeating voice. Much like a muscle, the more reps you do of this, the stronger you will become. I find this same sort of mindset applicable in life as well. Life will of course have its difficult moments. You need to work on becoming a master of your mind to recognize your self-limiting beliefs and grow in strength to persevere. Lesson number 7, focus on the fundamentals. Many people know Parker Stinson because of his incredible running form. I've seen Instagram commenters call it poetry in motion. He's super smooth, and no doubt this plays a factor in his running success. Each and every stride is an exertion of energy and a fight against gravity and mechanical resistance. The smoother your mechanics, the less wasted energy. At any point in a workout, when I began to feel my body fatiguing, I would shift my attention on every little aspect of my stride I could, instead of thinking about the pain, and asking myself if I could find a smoother, more fluid stride. Focusing on the fundamentals is very important for both athletic training as well as life in general. How can you become a master of anything if you do not first perfect the fundamental building blocks of that endeavor? There are 5 basic stages of proper running form: posture, lean, pull, shift support, and land. Before any workout, nearly all the athletes I worked with had a disciplined warm-up that included drills to break down the different parts of a running stride to ensure that they were completely warmed up and activating all parts of the machine. I admittedly didn't do a single drill in my training, even though I know how important they are to the pros. And I also know this is pretty common among the average runner. I'm not going to even try to act like an expert, and despite seeing these drills on a regular basis, I couldn't tell you how to do any of them. But I still think a mindful attention to your running form is very important in becoming a better runner. Same thing with life in general. You need to focus on the fundamentals, the building blocks of what you're trying to accomplish, and put it all together. Lesson number 8, breathe. High up in the mountains of Colombia, I ran with a group of Olympians on a quote-unquote easy run with my GoPro attempting to get some footage. We couldn't have been going any faster than a 9-minute mile, but the dirt trail we were on was either climbing or descending, and we were at 10,000 feet of elevation, which is about 3,000 meters. I was huffing and puffing and doing my best to keep up when Andres Zamora, a 2:10 marathoner from Uruguay, who only spoke Spanish, communicated to me with hand gestures to try and slow my breathing. It was difficult. My body was starving for oxygen and trying to quickly suck more air in. But as I slowed and deepened my breath, I did find some relief. Rapid breathing not only limits the amount of oxygen you actually take in, but also produces more carbon dioxide, which is what gives you the feeling like you're suffocating, and in turn makes you breathe faster. I frequently think of Andres when I'm putting in a hard effort and starting to gasp for air. I imagine his hand demonstrating my diaphragm slowing and stretching deeper, and I work to slow my breath. This almost always results in a drop in my heart rate and a return of my composure. As obvious as the advice to breathe is, I do think it's one of those fundamental things that many of us fall out of touch with. Even outside of running or exerting ourselves, I think many of us could use a bit more attention to our breathing. I also enjoy meditation, and the foundation of most meditation practices is connecting with the breath, so there has to be something to this practice. Deep breathing is scientifically proven to relax the mind, lower the heart rate, and calm the body. Lesson number 9, hard work pays. In the world of sport, I don't think anyone works harder than a triathlete. They're not just training for a single pursuit, they're working to master 3. When it comes down to the nuts and bolts of training, hard work pays, and Morgan Pearson is one of the hardest working athletes I know, putting in countless hours a week in the pool, on the bike, and running, with basically no days off, just lighter volume days for recovery here and there. His hard work propelled him to represent Team USA at the Tokyo Olympics, where he earned a silver medal. At this point for me, hitting my initial goal of sub 40 for the 10K is probably a stretch. I know I need to be realistic about that. Despite all of these points of focus and motivation, the fact is I didn't put in the hard work that it requires to perform at the level that I'd like. As I said earlier, I'm okay with that. I understand that life dealt me different cards than I expected, and my priorities had to be in a different place. The obvious lesson from the pros here is that if you truly want to be successful at any pursuit, sport or otherwise, at the end of the day, you've got to put in a lot of hard work. No great accomplishment ever comes easily, or if it does through some stroke of luck, it's certainly not going to be as satisfying as getting the payoff after putting in blood, sweat, and tears. Lesson number 10, stay diligent. I'm always inspired by Luis's wife, Hiruni Wijayaratne, for how diligent she is in her pursuit of everything. Hiruni is Sri Lanka's most decorated long-distance runner, with 11 records in everything from the mile to the marathon. She's also a successful leader in the tech industry, juggling a highly demanding career while also training as an elite athlete. She ironically may be the exception for what I said earlier about Luis's prioritization. I think she somehow manages to keep her career, her training, and her dog as her top priorities all at once. Over the years, I've seen the ups and downs, the stretches where she struggles to put a good race together, the times where her job is demanding so much from her that I wonder how she fits it all in. But she stays totally diligent in the face of any struggle and keeps at it, putting one foot in front of the other until she eventually catches her break. No matter what goals you may choose to set your sights on, as long as you stick with it and work hard, chances are you will find your own success. When the going gets tough, you have 2 choices: to quit or to stick with it, adapt and grow. Nothing in life is going to work out exactly as you expected, and while you can't change the direction of the wind, you can adjust your sails and carry on. So no matter where you're at in your journey, whether you're training for a personal best in a race or working toward your dream job or dream life, if you keep at it with some of the principles these athletes exemplify, you are bound to find your own personal success.